Okay, you've seen it everywhere. High-intensity interval training, or HIIT. It has absolutely taken over the fitness world, promising incredible results in way less time. But what does the science actually say? Let's get into it and separate the hype from the hard facts.
Right off the bat, here is the magic trick, the main reason HIIT got so popular. A 2017 study on obese women laid it out plain as day. For fat loss, HIIT worked just as well as traditional cardio. But just look at the time, about 36 minutes for the HIIT group versus almost 70 for the others. You're getting comparable results in nearly half the time. It's easy to see the appeal, right?
But yeah, that kind of efficiency sounds almost too good. And that's where the big questions pop up. Is it actually safe for everybody? Can you do too much of it? And is a HIIT-only routine really the best way to go? Let's dig into these controversies.
Now, this is a huge one. For decades, the advice for anyone with a heart condition was pretty much take it easy. So the idea of doing super intense, all-out exercise, well, it sounds risky, doesn't it? Well, let's see what the data says. A huge review in 2018 looked at over 1,000 people with cardiovascular disease, and the findings were pretty stunning. The risk was incredibly low. We're talking just one major cardiovascular event for every 11,333 hours of training. So here's the bottom line. For stable patients, and this is key, under proper supervision, HIIT is now considered a totally acceptable and safe option.
Okay, so we know it can be safe, but what about overdoing it? You know that more is better attitude we all get sometimes? When it comes to something as demanding as HIIT, is there a point where you actually start going backwards? And the answer is a big, flashing yes. This 2021 study showed it perfectly. For the first 2 weeks, everything was great. People were getting fitter, their bodies were adapting. But then, in week 3, when they ramped up to 5 intense HIIT sessions a week, their mitochondrial function, that's the ability of your cells' powerhouses to make energy, it just took a nosedive. It proves, without a doubt, there is such a thing as too much HIIT. So that brings us to the next logical question. If doing too much HIIT is bad, should it be the only thing you do for cardio? A lot of people have fallen in love with how quick it is and just completely ditched longer, slower workouts. But is that a mistake?
Turns out, yeah, that might be a mistake. This is where good old moderate intensity continuous training, or MICT, comes in. Think of it like this. HIIT is like putting a bigger, more powerful engine in your car. It strengthens your heart and your central system. But MICT, that's like improving your car's fuel economy. It teaches your muscles to get better at using oxygen. You actually need both. Relying only on HIIT can lead to burnout and plateaus. You want the powerful engine and the great mileage.
So we're seeing this theme emerge, right? For our bodies, it's not just about intensity, it's about balance. And what's really fascinating is that the exact same principle applies to our mental health. The way we move has a profound effect on the way we feel.
And I mean, wow, it doesn't get much more profound than this. This massive study, we're talking 1.2 million Americans, found this unbelievable link. People who exercised reported nearly 44% fewer days of poor mental health per month. That is a staggering number.
But just like with our physical training, when it comes to mental well-being, the dose of exercise really, really matters. It's not just that you exercise, it's about finding that sweet spot of how often and for how long. So let's break down that perfect dose for our minds. First, let's just hammer this number home, 43.2%. That's how much lower the mental health burden was for people who exercise. Think about what that actually means. It's like cutting the number of tough days you have in a month by almost half. That's a life-changing impact.
Okay, next up, how long should you work out? Is an hour better than 30 minutes? Well, the data was surprisingly specific. It pointed to a clear sweet spot right around 45 minutes. That was the magic number for the biggest mental health boost. And what's wild is that it didn't matter if it was running, swimming, or weightlifting. 45 minutes was the winner.
And what about frequency? How many of those 45-minute sessions should we aim for each week? Well, the ideal range was between 3 and 5 times a week. Any less wasn't as good, but, and this is the surprising part, exercising more than 5 times a week was also linked to slightly worse outcomes. It's a real Goldilocks situation. And here's the big warning sign that goes along with that. Just like we saw with our cells' mitochondria, more is definitely not always better for your mind. The study actually found that marathon workout sessions, anything over 90 minutes, were connected to worse mental health outcomes than sticking to that 45-minute sweet spot.
All right, we've covered a lot of ground here. The physical side, the mental side, so let's put it all together. Let's build a clear, simple blueprint based on all this science for getting the best possible results.
So here it is, your cheat sheet. First, mix it up. Combine your intense high-HIIT days with some moderate, steady cardio to get all the benefits. Second, frequency is key. Shoot for 3 to 5 workouts a week to really nail that mental health sweet spot. Third, aim for that 45-minute mark for your workouts. And finally, and maybe most importantly, listen to your body. Overtraining is a real thing, and avoiding it is the secret to long-term success.
So there you have it. The science gives us this incredible roadmap. It shows that HIIT is an amazing tool, but it's not the only tool in the toolbox. And it tells us that the real secret to unlocking our best, both physically and mentally, isn't about pushing to the extreme all the time. It's about finding an intelligent, sustainable balance. So now that you know the science, how will you find yours?